papers from Saskatchewan, Canada. I do own this legally. You'd better make sure you can prove your legality of it. Of the Plains Indian probably sue with this type of beadwork, okay? With the beadwork in this geometrical pattern. I'll show you some in some books later on, and they're absolutely beautiful, and they will be in the shapes of leaves and flowers. Those are the Eastern Indians. Western Indians went with the geometrical. The Eastern Indians went with what word? I want to say more natural. They stayed with the leaf, the flower, the scroll design. Very beautiful workmanship. Okay. The necklace is a cheap choker's necklace. The top one there. And I like to tell the story of a guy by the name of Levi Strauss. Gosh, I've heard that name someplace. But how he got started was after 1840, but the Indians on the reservations needed a place to dwell. And he had an army contract with them to supply them wall tents. So he gave them the wall tents, and they cut them up and made teepees out of them. And that was before 1840. Later on, when they decided what a valuable item just canvas was, they were trading square footage of buffalo robes for canvas to make teepees. And that's when they really got large. That and the Spaniard horse is really when the teepees started getting large. Before that, they were quite small. 10-footer was a big one. And this is an 18-footer. So an 18-foot lodge is measured two ways. From the ground to that knot is 18 feet. And from the ground, or from the, let's see, it's from the South Pole, which is this one here, to the north, right about here. That's the North Pole. Right about here will be 18 foot. So now, if you'll get back and look from the house, you'll see it real well. It's not round. It's in an egg shape. It's round back here, and then it's elongated to the door. The reason for that being is, right where I'm standing, I can have a fire with flames this high, and I have had a fire in here that high. No problem. The stain you see on the canvas, if you look beside the poles, the white streaks on this side of that one, I got them in pretty good. They're not too many white streaks. Oh, here's a couple good ones you can see from this side. See the white streaks beside them? Where it's white is where the poles should be. You don't get them back in the same place every time, especially after last night's breeze. The canvas will be stained by smoke, and it'll actually waterproof it. The resin in the water, the oil resin in the wood will adhere to the canvas and actually make it more waterproof. Okay? So it is a proper lodge. Okay? Nobody's going to ask me how to put this thing up, are they?
Yes.
We've got a real good. I want him to have the knife, so I give it to him. He said, yeah, he went down and had it appraised. The guy was going to give him $115 for it. And if I'd have sold it, I'd ask $20. If I'd have sold it, but I'd rather have him have it. I'd rather give it to him as a gift than put a price tag on some things. I'll explain a little bit of that in a little bit, okay? Any other questions? Okay, if you want to, no question. If you want to, you can nose the file out.
Of him with his wolf on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
House or dwelling. The Aleutian Indian, and by the way, the Eskimos as well as the Aleutian Indians are Indians. They are Native American. They are not Eskimos as such. We portray them as not being Americans or not being Indians per se. Even the Indians, it's like the Negro of 50 years ago. You don't call them Negroes anymore, you call them black. Well, you don't call them Indians anymore, you call them Native Americans. They prefer it. I mean, let's face it, we're standing on their land, and we are the intruder. We are the foreigners. It's their land. That is the only promise that was kept by the white man. We will take your land. Everything else has been disregarded. But the Snow House and the Aleutian House were different. I have diagrams and pictures and books of all kinds of dwellings and stuff. And it's amazing to me to see a home made out of whalebone and dirt and hide that will house 50 people. I just can't conceive that in my mind. And yet here it is, a diagram of it, and that these have been artifact flats. The snow house, I want to explain a little bit about, was really made of packed snow ice. It wasn't what we would consider snow. It was hard, you could cut it with a type of saw which they made from whale bone. They did make it out of snow and then pour water over it to harden it. I can bring the temperature of a snow house to 50 degrees. Now consider the outside temperature of minus 60 with a 60-mile-an-hour wind, and you've got over 200 degrees below zero. And by the way, the children were expected to play outdoors every day. In fact, their diet consisted of about 6,000 calories per day. Now you Weight Watchers understand what that is, right? That's a lot of calories, but they burned it up in body energy. Okay. You go in, first off, the snow, the floor is covered with skins. Now I have not done this, I couldn't get in there to get it done, but also the sides were covered with skins. And you say, well, how could you do that? It's very simple. You take a polar bear rug, you lay it out, you pour water on it, and you stick it up against ice, and you got instant glue. Right? Okay, so consider the entire lodge or snow house is fur-lined. Now, you bet, warm. Who cares if it's a $10,000, what kind of bear? Polar bear. That's what they're worth. Who cares, you know? Just a fur hide, throw it up there. Seal hide were used, etc. Walrus hide, caribou were all used in this process. Okay, so very warm. Now, the Eskimo fire is one of the most unique in the world. And that's something I want to build this winter to carry around with me as an Eskimo. This particular longhouse, how many families could live in it? Now, let me give you a little help. The square in the top, for pure reason, we didn't put a fire in the bottom of it. But I'm going to count the fire smoke holes or the fire pits. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many families lived in that dwelling? Yeah.
8.
You're close. Think a second. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
4 families.
16.
16.
Okay, you got a double-decker. Okay. The young marriage would live on the top deck because they were spry and could get down to the fire pit. The older ones would live on the bottom. There was more than one reason for that. More privacy on the top. The fire pits were shared by 4 women. A lot of community meals were served. By the way, you only served probably 2 meals a day. One about this time of the day when the men come in from hunting, and one before you went to bed. And that was when you served your meals. A lot of snack food was available. Pumpkins, berries, etc. Children could help themselves. Okay, the adult members took a little less nourishment. Okay, but a 16-dwelling home. Now, take 16 times, let's say 5. Each young person has at least 1 child or 2 children, and the elders, their children will be living above them. So how many people we got in here? So you can multiply that by a lot. Our intent is to build them all. Now, I'll start with, I've been through the snow house and the long house. The wigwam was made of grass or bark. The Wichita grass house, which was in the I can't even say it. The mountains over on this side of the United States, Appalachian. The Mississippi Temple is exactly that. It was not a dwelling. It was a real small area in this area. The Prairie Mat House was weaving out of what we would call buffalo grass today, cattails, snake grass, You would literally just weave yourself a nice mat, roll it up, build your framework when you got there, unroll your mat, overlap them like shingles, and you got your house. The Aztec Temple, of course, is of Mexico. The plains, now we have put, where's it at? Yeah, we have put a earthen lodge here, and I want to point out on the earthen lodge that you will see this as a Mandan dwelling of over here on the Mississippi, or excuse me, the Missouri River area, this side of the Missouri River area. It was really a little larger area than just the eastern and western slopes of the Missouri River, but history does not point that out. Archaeologists are pointing it out today. The earthen lodge was a northern, this area, very warm. First off, you started out by putting poles in the ground of about 10 foot. Now, digging a hole 10 foot long is going to be a job. So think about it. As you dig down, you also plane off the earth. It may be 6 foot into the ground. And then the dirt come out and went on top. It was that simple. And it was very warm. The Mandan dwellings points out that you entered through the top, which is incorrect. History has misinformed us on that. They blew it. They did enter through probably a slope on a hill. And all of your animals would be in there. Your horses, etc. Quite a...
They weren't clean.
Did they take a bath twice a day?
Horses did, yeah. People, they still stunk. I don't know. Yeah, they use sweat lodges. Yeah. Have any of you people acquainted with the Dutch people? Of the Dutch around this area? Very clean, right? You realize there was only one roof over their barns and they lived under it? You went through one door and you was in their milking parlor. Very clean people. There's no reason why the Mandans can't be just as clean. Let's see, I left off down here. I want to come back around. Of course, the Pueblo apartment houses, or cave dwellings as we call them today, I don't know why they use the word apartment on that, but they did. We're in this area, down into Mexico. The TP I explained. The Wickiup, I want to explain as about that big around at the top, and it looks like it's got bees in it. It looks like a beehive on top. And each one of them little holes that look like a beehive is a nut. Delicious. Superb. Recommend it to anybody. I'm going to skip. I'm going to skip the guns until we're ready to shoot them. All right. How much? When did you guys want to break for lunch?
Do the arrowheads and then break.
Okay. I'm going to have my chair, son. Thanks.
Why don't you say that?
Let's do this. Somebody's been in my box. Well, I'm going to have me some fingers and scalp yet. I want it. And we was debating on what he thought it was worth and what have you. And he says, well, I can't sell it. And he wouldn't. Now, I know how he made it after I've acquired it. And by the way, it is all wood. This is not a bone. It is wood. So, I finally ended up trading a knife for it and a striker for it and a piece of flint. I brought it home, and what have you. I want that sitting there. And I determined to find out. I thought maybe it was because maybe he couldn't have money on the reservation where he lived. And that was not right. The tree he made this from had a spirit. And he implied his spirit to it when he made it. Would you sell your soul? He would trade for it, and he was really impressed when I made the knife I traded for it, because my spirit was a part of that knife. Okay, I'm going to do this a little later. I got a couple of demonstrations here. You want to do this one? You saw how it was done last night, this morning. I was volunteer. This is a Ted Cash tobacco box. It is a replica of the German silver type that was traded back then, as well as the brass and the copper ones. Can you tell me what that is? Go ahead, take it. Yeah, he said it right. It's a striker. What I'm doing now is just flamping it a little bit. Napping a little flint, I want a sharp edge. I have a little tinder here in the cup, which is hemp rope. If I was an Indian in the wild or in a survival situation today, I would go down to this pond right down here and walk around on that side and get me a cattail top. It'd do just as good. It'd be a little more smoky. Other than that, it would work just as good. What I'm making is a mouse nest. The book says you can use mouse nest if you can find it, or a small bird nest. The bird nest is very good because it has an oil in it and it'll be dry, no matter the weather. So, look for that last night. Little char cloth. Oh, this is good. I just made this the other day too. Now, what am I going to do? Any ideas? We're going to make fire. Striker sold for 2 cents in St. Joe, Missouri. A woman trader ordered 2 mule loads for it. All she ordered was this. It didn't say who she was. I'd like to find out her name sometime. She ordered 2 mule loads full of nothing but strikers to trade for the Indians. Yeah, there we go. I caught a spark. You see that red? Now, we're going to build a fire, so I better get out of the wind. Got to blow my fire out. I can't get enough air. Fire. Blow it out. I'll bet you fix it. No, don't. You're going to get burned. Don't try to blow it out. You're not going to blow it out. Because you can't. The char.
5 seconds.
How long?
5 seconds.
Don't get cut on. Can anybody tell me what that is? No, it's just a piece of something. You got any idea?
Looks like obsidian.
What?
Obsidian?
Right. It's obsidian. Volcanic glass. It was a trade item. The north, what I'd call the northern plains on the western part of the plains, traded for to come out of the volcanoes up in that area. And it was a trade item, like flint. I chipped this piece out yesterday, and this is the one I want to make out of. And as you can see, it's just it's not very much. And I'm going to show you a couple techniques used by the Indians to make arrowheads. With a little bit of luck, we'll have one here in about a piece of water. The first technique is just percussion, and if you people ever play in a band, you'll know what a percussion instrument is. You just hit it, right? And that's all you do to flint. You just hit it. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how sharp this is. And to start your piece off, I don't really have any big chunks. I'll take this one, I guess. You just simply percussion a piece of it off. Always work with something between skin and flint, unless you love pain. And if you love pain, I'll hit you with a hammer, you know. There, I got a piece of it off. In fact, that would probably make a bird point. It's not very big, but I could make a bird point out of that bottom piece. That's a nice piece of flint. I shouldn't be wasting it just doing that. But it's easy to find. Just go back down the creek and get another piece. Use the duckbill or a point, and you just simply push and press your flake. Or you can put it in the duckbill and twist like thus, and it'll come right off. Okay? I kind of want to watch this obsidian because I think it's kind of valuable. it's black, it goes for playing cards. I stepped this off earlier. You're not supposed to be able to step it off. I want you to see how that works. And it's not real difficult. It's just like pitching a baseball or a softball if you're underhanded. There's a pitcher's mound, put both feet on it. Put the ball in your check first base. Don't check first base, just check first base. And you just take a gentle step like that. Back just a little bit too far. Try it again. Guy Cookie had his wife standing beside him. He gets up there and he's looking and he reaches back and he hands her one. First one was thrown like this. I missed the block. Second one was thrown like this. I missed the block again. Third one was like this. And the fourth one was thrown conventionally. Give you the heavy. Stand right about there. Don't be afraid of it. I mean, he's not going to throw it back at you, okay? You just simply, like I said, you got it here. Just get it there real good. Okay? Take a step. Take about a 2-foot stride. No. Get your foot back up there. Move this foot, see? Right like that. Draw it. Did I bring the board with the bullets on it? Forget it.
You'd have to have a van to bring everything.
Yeah, well, it's only about that big, but you're right. This is an original, it's not a copy, it's an original 32 caliber Frost Glosser rifle. Half stock Kentucky, 32 caliber. I like the double set triggers on this one. It is in shootable shape and I have shot it. Nice squirrel rifle. It's not large enough to knock down a deer. Like I said earlier, you have a responsibility to something you're going to kill. If you're going to kill it, kill it. Quick and clean. If you're going to torture something, that's a different story. Okay? So use a rifle large enough, but don't overkill. Okay. Something for the kids, especially the boys and the girls. I hope we have some girls take their hunter safety course. It's required in this state for you to get a hunting license. You're going to cover a chapter over muzzleloaders, and something I like about the Southeast Iowa Society, the club that I belong to, are going to join very shortly, is this. Usually when you take that course, you're going to get 10 hours of book learning. And you sit in a chair, somebody explains it to you, tells you about it, you take a test. There, you're going to get 2 hours of schooling and 6 hours on the range. It makes no difference whether you're going to shoot a 30-06, a 45 caliber handgun, whatever you, a 22 pistol, a muzzle loader, compound, or longbow, whatever's covered in that book, you're going to go out to the range and you're going to use. And I like that. A couple of points to put out first off is how can I tell this gun is loaded? Number one, safety factor. How do you tell if a muzzle loader is loaded? You open up the barrel and look, you can't. Okay? So you pull the ramrod and you drop it in, and it better go all the way. If it doesn't, you got something between there and the bottom of the barrel, it's loaded. Or you got bigger problems. Loaded would be an easy problem. Okay, now I am going to load my rifle. First thing I use is a powder horn, correct? I take the powder horn to the muzzle, put some powder in it. I should have got at least 15 no's. I've got a quarter stick of dynamite right there in my hand. It will kill me. Hey, when you make a mistake with a muzzle loader or any other gun, call the undertaker. You're dead. Let's face it, guys. This is not a toy. It's a legal deer rifle. It'll knock down a 250-pound animal. And I don't weigh that much, and I'm also an animal. And I could die. So you only allowed one mistake. You measure out an exact amount. Now, I admit, if Geronimo was chasing me, I might put it to the muzzle, right? You take some type of a measuring device. I have hollowed out a deer horn, and I'm going to shoot. I got a little kid right down there. I don't want him there when I shoot. See him? There's somebody else back there, too, okay? It's 70 grains of powder, okay? An exact amount of powder. Now, so then I measure it out by just putting it in there. And I'm using powder. And I'm using 3F. in this powder, in this particular load, okay? 2F is just as equivalent or just as good in a 50 caliber. If you go below 50 caliber, definitely use 3F. You go above, definitely use 2F. Now we got to have a little spit patch. You know where that term comes from? See if you can guess now. I do it more authentic in this manner than any other. All you have to do is wet the cloth enough that the powder will not burn it. It doesn't take much. There are also several products on the market today to do nothing but lubricate that patch. Hoppy's number 9 Plus is a good one. Spit patch, bear grease, about anything you want.
Now what was that little round thing you put in?
Oh, that was the ball, thank you. Put the ball over the patch, seat it, take your patch knife and you cut it off. Now that's how that knife gets dull. And I'll show you,
Into the barrel.
well, it's not going to be exactly round, but it's going to be pretty close to exactly round. That it will be a round hole. You will cut it off, okay? Torch starter. Number 2 in your hunter safety course. Oh, I can't get it any farther. Do I shoot it?
No.
I wouldn't know.
No.
Do I shoot it now?
No.
Call the Undertaker, boys. You got a board structure. You're going to get that right in your teeth. And it's going to go out the back of your head. You're dead. No other way to put it. Either that, you killed yourself or your best friend. You're dead. If it does not seat against the powder, do not shoot it. And you better make sure it seats. I got 3 fingers. I know it's down there. Now, something I want to point out that your muzzleloader book does tell you, your hunter safety book does tell you, it's a good idea to do, is to mark that ramrod right there. If that's the load you're going to use all the time. Question. You're shaking your head, yes. Question. If you're using more powder, where's your line going to be?
Further down the stick.
You just got killed.
Be higher up.
Higher up. The more you got in the barrel, the less this will go down. It'll be up.
That's what I meant.
Now, you said farther down. I said, where's your mark going to be in relation to the barrel? It would be down.
Oh,
up.
okay, I thought.
Okay, the other way around. Okay.
Misunderstood you.
Maybe you lived through that, actually.
I thought
Do
you were
not
thinking of a new
shoot
mark.
that gun unless the ball is against the powder. You have a bore obstruction. This is a flintlock rifle. Yeah. I think there's somebody back there by. Oh, I see what it is. Okay.
Dolphin.
Yeah. We lose a dog, we lose a dog, I guess.
Hear that, Rich?
That white and brown one's a good hunting dog.
Okay, we'll watch that brown dog. Yeah, Brittany probably is. Have you ever heard the term going off half-cocked?
Oh, yes.
You know where it started now. This rifle will fire on half-cocked. I want to show you something. You have a hole in the side of your barrel. It's called a flash hole. It's right there. I just stuck my flint pick in it. If a spark gets in there, it goes off, right? This gun can go off half-cocked. It's one of the more unsafe guns. I put number 3 or 2F in the barrel. That's optional. I use 3F. In the pan, you have no option. You use 4F. That's the reason for the 2 powder horns. I have 4F in this one. Now, for anybody who wishes to ever buy or shoot one of these things, I'm going to give you a couple of little tips right now. If the flash hole is below the top of the pan, don't buy the rifle. It's that simple. It can be high, but it can't be low. If it's low, you'll get the swish, bang, hang fire. You want it right even with the top of the pan. I actually poke a couple, 3 grains in there and close the frizzle. She's ready to fire. When I see that deer out there now, I can take him on. With some assurity, I can kill him. In fact, if I see the buck at that range, he's my meat.
Really? That rich?
Yeah. It's terrible to be old and blind.
About young and blind.
Yeah.
That's not a safety precaution.
Yeah.
I may have missed the card, guys. I see it. I'm down here at about, I'm low at about 7 o'clock, right? Yeah, I just did touch the bottom of the card.